Hi, I'm Ellie Rain, and this is my familiar, Cypher. I'm an award-winning fantasy author. My books are called the Necrosteam Chronicles. They are about a necromancer whose soul is trapped inside his twin as they go on epic adventures. If you want to learn more, you can go to ellierain.com, or you can go to Barnes & Noble and Amazon for more.
We are Tuatha, and we knew that you would probably request a particular song from us. This is our simple freebird, just for you. I want to tell you about some links that we've got going on. We have a tip jar. You can find that at paypal.me/Tuatha. It's the name of our band, Tuathadea. You can visit us on our website, tuathadea.com, where you can find all kinds of links, all kinds of pages. You can find our store with our merch and more. tuathadea.com/the-store-2. You can also find our mailing list on our website and sign up for all kinds of cool information. Visit us on our Patreon, patreon.com/Tuatha. We really appreciate you once again. Thank you for having us here.
Do you want to make sure your convention isn't a dud? Then contact the CONmods for all of your moderating and consulting needs. We've had the pleasure of working with Sean Schemmel, Adam Baldwin, Matthew Lewis, David Yost, Brian Michael Bendis, and many, many more. Find us at theconmods.com, a proud partner of CONjuration 2020.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our Crime and the Houses of Hogwarts panel. I am Chris Seckinger. I am one of the Con founders, and I will have these lovely ladies introduce themselves. Hannah and Anna, who are you?
I'm Hannah.
I'm Anna.
I'm a Ravenclaw. I came to Con as a volunteer, and then I talked so much during the panels, and I guess Chris liked what I had to say, so he said, hey, do you actually want to be on the panels next year? And then I didn't let him not let me on panels ever since then. So I'm here now.
I'm Anna. I'm a Gryffindor, and I have been coming to Con since 2016. Started getting on panels like 2 or 3 years ago. Once I decided to just piggyback off some of her panels and really enjoy doing them because I get to put in my Gryffindor thoughts since there are not that many Gryffindors at con. Other than Harry Potter, I'm a huge Disney fan. I love everything Disney. So,
Olivia?
I'm Olivia. I'm a Slytherin. I've been paneling at CONjuration since it began. I study sociology. I was actually going to get a minor or major in it, but it ended up conflicting. But yeah, so I just find all of this stuff very interesting.
Abbie?
Hey, I'm Abbie. I am a Hufflepuff. I joined CONjuration in 2017 when I was lucky enough to be seated on a panel, even though I had no idea what I was doing, and they haven't gotten rid of me since, so that's good. I do have a background in psychology, and I was pretty much raised by Disney and Dick Wolf, so true crime is definitely a passion of mine, and it was probably my original fandom before I even knew what that was. So
I'm
excited for this.
All right, I will let our viewers in on where we came up with this idea. Every year at CONjuration, well, every year at most conventions, at the end of the convention, they have what's called a dead dog party because you are dead dog tired and you're just ready to grab some snacks and pass out. Last year at our dead dog party, I went to refill my drink and I see these four ladies and a couple of other people, and they're in the midst of a discussion about what each of these different serial killers' houses might have been at the Hogwarts. Now, we do plan on doing a sorting hat panel with serial killers and mobsters and the like, but I thought how interesting a panel it might be if we went through a list of crimes and we discussed which houses would most likely commit said crimes. So I've made a big list and I've passed it to them, and we're going to go through the list. I don't know how many we'll get to touch on, but every crime that you've pretty much ever heard of, we've got it on our little list. The first one on my list is aggravated assault. Now, which house do y'all think would be most likely to commit aggravated assault? Or, like we do in the sorting hat panels, which house is least likely to commit aggravated assault? And then we can break it down by going backwards. I don't think Hufflepuff's in the running for aggravated assault.
No, I was going to say the least is going to be Puff.
I would usually say the least for most of these is going to be Puff. But I feel like because it's like aggravated assault, that Puffs might be in there as like the defender complex, and I think Ravenclaws might be towards the least amount for this particular crime because Ravenclaws aren't the fighters.
We have assault and battery there, and I think that's where Hufflepuffs would get nailed, would be assault and battery, because their friend is having aggravated assault done to them, and the Hufflepuffs would come to the rescue and get charged with assault, but not aggravated assault because they didn't start it. It wasn't their idea.
Right.
They were just there as the protectors. I think the aggravated assault, I agree with you with the Ravenclaw thing. No. We're leaning against the wall reading a book going, really? Seriously? I think aggravated assault is going to fall into either Gryffindor or Slytherin.
Yeah, I was going to say
I'm
those
going to say Gryffindor for sure.
I think
they're the
Gryffindor, in my opinion.
They're the think first or not think first, action first, think later sort of.
Yeah, shooting from the hip, because I mean that's really what aggravated assault is shooting from the hip.
Exactly.
All right, we'll write down Gryffindor for that one.
Okay. I'm not even going to fight Slytherin. I'll take it.
The next one I threw on my list, and some of these were in alphabetical order, and I kind of mixed them up. So my list is going to look different than y'all's. The next one on my list is public intoxication. Who is most likely to be publicly intoxicated? Drunk
Now,
in
I
public.
don't think that it's Ravenclaw.
It's not Ravenclaw.
No, we
No.
drink in
That's
private.
the least likely. They're like calculated to make a mistake.
We drink in private alone. We're all alcoholics.
I think Hufflepuffs are like the DD, so I don't think.
Yeah.
It depends. I think it depends on the situation. Drunk in public is probably more going to be for Gryffindor and Hufflepuff. Drunk and disorderly is going to be Gryffindor. Drunk in public is going to be Hufflepuff. Because we're going to be like the, yes, let's go. Woo, yeah, party. Gryffindor's going to be like, why did you look at me sideways? Pow. I'm hammered. But
Yeah, I think Gryffindor would walk out the door not caring one
Yeah.
way or the other, and they would just be publicly intoxicated. Hufflepuffs would be in the throes of having fun and would forget that it's against the law to be walking down
Yep.
the street
Yes.
when you were that drunk.
exactly.
I agree.
That's true. Because
And I
my
think
friends
the
and I were
children
walking
would-
around campus drinking at the end of the world party, and he was a Hufflepuff. Like, the closed container, like, he's straight up drinking out of a bottle, and we're walking around, and then I'm like, oh crap, we are not at the row. I don't know if we're allowed to do this.
Like, get your
This is
puff.
not New Orleans.
But it was like a good idea. He was like, it's fine. And then as soon as like we got there, we were like, oh crap, I don't think it's fine. Like, there's a rule against this.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Drunken public would be Hufflepuff, but drunken disorderly would be Gryffindor.
Yeah, Slytherin and
Yeah.
Ravenclaw would be too smart to go out in public and make a fool of themselves, but
Yeah, we're
Right.
drinking at home. It's cheaper anyway.
As Slytherins, you wouldn't be able to tell. They're probably
That's
the quiet,
true.
calculated drunks.
Mhm.
Oh, they are. Oh, they absolutely are. Yeah.
They got that high tolerance.
Oh, yeah.
They do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they can outdrink anybody, but they're
Slytherins,
not showing it because they need it to be that hidden card that they whip out and
Mhm.
take the trick with.
Mhm.
Next, I have, and I don't know. I'm pretty clear on this one. Aiding and abetting an accessory. I think that's a
Hufflepuff.
Hufflepuff thing.
Mm-mm.
Hufflepuff.
No. If it was
Argue why not, Abbie?
well, if it was honestly like you're driving with your friend and you realize that you get pulled over because your friend stole a car and you had no idea, yes. But if it was a knowingly aid and abetting, no.
Oh, look at that. She's going to take the high horse like Hufflepuffs don't commit crimes. Oh, girl, if I need a partner in crime, I'm hiring a Hufflepuff.
they're
Because I
loyal.
know
It depends on the
you.
crime. It depends on
like-
the crime.
loyal.
If I need to
I'm not-
bury a dead body, I'm calling a Hufflepuff.
Yeah.
No, you're not going to call a Hufflepuff because we know not to bury dead bodies because that's how easily they get found. You get a wood chipper after you
Exactly.
freeze the body.
Exactly.
See, that's why you're my accessory.
I'm not your accessory if you're going to bury stuff.
I think Slytherin would roll on me if I got pulled into the police station and they start questioning. Slytherin's going to go, "Hey, this was not my idea. This was all on him." Gryffindor, I think they would bring too much attention to the crime. Hufflepuff
It was
would be much
Gryffindor's
better.
idea.
What
Yeah,
Olivia,
Gryffindor's not the
I
accessory. It
think
was
we
their
missed
idea.
something Olivia said. I'm sorry, guys. The connection's not good.
Oh, I just said, yeah, I would flip so easily. Like, I would not, I would, like, the second they were like, did you know what was going on? I would act completely clueless and throw whoever was with me under the bus so quick.
Danielle in the comments said, "Puffs, we like to help." So,
Oh, for
But we
legal
get
reasons,
caught.
this is all hypothetical.
oh yes.
Oh yeah, this is all hypothetical. I'm sure that every house right now is represented for every crime in every prison across the country.
It's not canon.
Is just us having fun. And yeah, Hufflepuffs, just so you know, if we come knocking at your door, we may have a very uncomfortable question to ask you, and that would be about aiding and abetting us in our illegal activities. How about kidnapping? Who would
Ravenclaw.
be the kidnapping?
I think Ravenclaw, because I think that in order to get away with it, you need to go through a lot. Like, if you hear any of those kidnapping cases where like the nurse like takes the baby from the hospital and then they like never find out, or they don't find out till 20 years later,
Yeah.
I think that's so Ravenclaw. Like,
So
There's a thought process definitely that has to be taken into consideration if you're going to steal a human. And I don't think Gryffindors are smart enough to do it.
So most kidnapping cases are actually like within the family. They're not usually like strangers taking somebody else's child.
That's
so
true.
because of that, I feel like it would be a Slytherin. Because of that like family loyalty and family bond, they would be like, no, this is my kin, and I don't care what you say, I'm going to take them.
Yeah, you're
Okay. Yeah. In a non-relationship type of kidnapping, Lindbergh baby here.
well. That
Of the
situation
people
was
who have gotten away with it, what house do you think they belong to? The ones who have actually succeeded in kidnapping.
Ravenclaw.
yeah.
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
definitely
I
has
think
to
all
be more
houses
planning.
do it. I think Gryffindor would totally get caught. I think Hufflepuff would just let them go eventually.
They
Hufflepuff
feel
would give them
bad.
snacks and water.
Slytherin may be having to hide the body because it didn't go well. Of the ones that got away with it, I think it would probably be Ravenclaw that would figure out all the little details. Because, buddy, there's a lot of details in kidnapping. I've thought about it.
The
The
one
comments
Not for
are
specific reason, just general. But
the comments seem to be leaning towards Slytherin.
it
Yeah.
does.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, the long con, I mean, to kidnap a kid is intense. I mean, the things that they had to go through for the Lindbergh baby, which was bungled. That case is just insane. That is very Slytherin for them to have gotten away with it, for the cover-up at least. So I do agree
Well,
with the Slytherins in that part.
I just watched something on the Lindbergh kidnapping. That's why it was at the forefront of my mind, in which they think that dude was set up.
Oh, it
And
was.
he was set up by Lindbergh himself,
Mhm.
who needed to get rid of a less than perfect child because
Yes.
Lindbergh was a Nazi.
Mhm.
I mean, Charles
Yes.
Lindbergh was a Nazi, and his baby was not perfect, and they needed to make sure that didn't get out. And so,
Yep.
yeah, it was kind of a Slytherin move.
100% eugenics.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
David had an interesting comment where he said a Slytherin wouldn't brag, a Ravenclaw likes to show that they figured it out.
Oh, that's good, David. Yeah,
Yes.
that is true.
So would a Slytherin be like more secretive about it and be able to like keep it in? And
Yeah.
we can't like discredit Slytherins are very smart and cunning.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So like I know there's a lot of little intricacies that we're handing to Ravenclaw because you have to be very smart and figure out all the intricacies. But I think that could go to Slytherin as well.
So I'll put down Ravenclaw and Slytherin. I mean, we can give it to both. I think, both houses are prone to being able to get away with kidnapping.
And there's always
Next, they have arson.
Gryffindor.
Yeah.
I like to
100%.
set stuff on fire.
I mean,
Look at Hannah pointing at that. Gryffindor.
who doesn't? I mean, fire is amazing, but arson's,
But they would get caught.
well, I mean,
Oh, for sure.
I think that there are different types of arson, of course. There's arson that is just people that are obsessed with fire and like to burn stuff down. And then there's, I won't say smart arsonists, but there are arsonists who are arsonists in order to gain something from it.
Mm.
I think those are going to tend to be Slytherin and Ravenclaw. If they're burning down property that they own in order to collect the insurance, that's probably going to be a Slytherin and Ravenclaw that does
Yeah.
that.
I didn't
Burning
think
for
of that.
pleasure, yeah, that's a Gryffindor thing. I
True.
think the Hufflepuffs would make a campfire, but they're not going to burn down the forest. That's going to be Gryffindor probably doing something stupid.
Like
Mhm.
a baby shower and gender reveal.
I didn't mean
Baby
to get
gender reveal.
light the rocket to see which house you're in, buddy.
I think Gryffindor would be the accidental arsonist,
Mhm.
and Slytherin would be the one doing it for the insurance money.
That's
See,
true. Yeah.
there's something
And
about
Ravenclaw would be their lawyer who's helping them
Mm-hmm.
work around it.
Yep.
the
Yep.
crime of arson, though, with like serial arsonists. There's a distinct thing about them where it is about the power and the intensity of fire in itself. It's the psychological need to make a scene and coming back to the crime and watching it burn. It's very, very Gryffindor. Just
Oh, really? As soon as you went with it's a power thing, I went straight to Slytherin.
I mean, Slytherin is power and it's fantastic, but it's the Gryffindor mentality of the fire, of that bang, of that power, the just that
The
The showmanship.
the showman.
Yeah.
Thank you, the showmanship. Just that.
I think that Gryffindor also really likes the instant gratification, and there's no long con with arson.
No.
Arson is just like just set something on fire. Not to say like that it's easy, but I think that it's something that you can do pretty impulsively. Like if I were to decide right now to commit arson, like I feel like I could do it today if I were to make that decision.
And they usually stick around and watch it burn. Like they are usually there on the scene. They're watching the pageantry of it. So arsonists, I mean, I could spit out the statistics of what the actual criminals usually are when they are arsons, but they stick around, they watch the fire, and it's.
I go back to Olivia, the house right outside your mom's neighborhood that used to be on the corner that's not there anymore because it burned down. Now, it took them months to figure out that it was the dude who owned the house that burned it down because he covered his tracks pretty well. He thought he had planned it out nicely. I think the dude was a Slytherin. I absolutely can agree that Gryffindors would relish the showmanship of arson. I'm going to give it to both of them. Yeah, I think they're both guilty of this. Gryffindor and Slytherin. Okay, what about robbery? And of course, by robbery, we're it's not the same as burglary. Robbery is somebody's holding a pistol to you and taking all your crap. Who would be the one who does that?
I don't think Hufflepuff has enough guts to point a gun to someone's head and be like, I'm taking all your money. So,
I mean, the fact that you just said they don't have enough guts means that you have to be brave to do it. So that makes me look at Gryffindor. Yeah, like I feel like a robbery doesn't take, depending on the robbery, it doesn't necessarily take a lot of intellect. I mean, if we're talking about like the beginning of Dark Knight where they're like robbing the bank and it's the huge like Joker operation, then that takes some kind of intellect to do. But if it's just like holding a gun to somebody's head, then that's a little bit
I'm
different.
thinking when I think robbery, I'm thinking more like mugging.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Gryffindor.
We'll give it to us.
I honestly
gave criminals.
I gave a lot more crimes when I was writing my notes. I gave a lot more to Gryffindor than I thought I would.
Guess we're just criminals.
Yeah.
And I think it's the impulsiveness.
I think so too. Crime tends to be very impulsive. I mean, we haven't gotten to the white collar stuff, but we will. But when it comes to just your standard,
We're sloppy.
It's the impulsive nature.
Robbery will be Gryffindor. Okay. What about forgery?
Ravenclaw.
Slytherin.
I don't know. I could see it as Slytherin and like I feel like that's very much on the line. I feel like both would do it.
Yeah. You have to have brains for that.
So the reason that I went with Ravenclaw is that you have to be somewhat of a creative mind to do it because you have to have the skill to actually forge something well.
Yeah, and you have to teach yourself these skills.
Exactly. So like you have to have that intellect and that creative mind to actually be able to forge it well. And I don't know, there's this show, God, I can't even remember the name of it now, where they're like printing their own money and they have to get like a digital artist to actually like make the money print. And like she's very creative. She's definitely a Ravenclaw, but I feel like that part of the forgery is the very creative intellectual portion that would be the Ravenclaw.
I would say it depends on what type of forgery, because I would say that would be very Ravenclaw. But then I feel like if it's the making up fake paperwork and stuff like that in order to get what you want, making up like fake court documents to prove that something like happened that didn't actually happen. I think that would be more Slytherin.
Yeah.
Oh, and then we
go with
have
that one.
a really low level forgery thing, and that would be the notes that you have to bring back to the teacher that you got signed at home. Which house was more likely to sign those notes?
Gryffindor.
Me. I have signed my mom's name on my Reese's, pamphlet to make sure I went to Reese's that day. Because I forgot to give it to her the night before. But that kind of forgery, yeah, that's easy forgery.
So, like, the only time I did that was when I literally would, like, call my mom and be like, can I sign your name on this? Because I forgot to let you do it. So I don't think it was me. I don't think it was Ravenclaw.
Yeah, I think for the most part, though, when it comes to real honest-to-God forgery, I think that is probably a more Ravenclaw kind of thing. Ravenclaw and Slytherin. How about bribery?
Slytherin.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just sounds like a Slytherin.
Because I think it's part of the ambition thing. Because it's like, I'm going to do this to get what I want.
Yeah. And it's a bullying tactic. And not to denigrate Slytherin, but they are the kings of bullying.
But also manipulation, which is just a nice word to say bullying. But yeah, I think that, like, not only do I think that Slytherins would/could bribe people, but I think that they could do it effectively and pay the least amount of money for the most returns.
Yeah.
I mean, in our legal system, it's illegal, but in other cultures throughout the world, it's not necessarily. So they could play around with that idea in the sense of, well, I actually did business in this country, and while it's not legal here, it's legal there. So it's really not that bad.
I need to live through these countries. I could totally work bribery to my advantage. Holy camoli. I just assume that's standard across the board. There are seriously countries out there that don't think bribery should be illegal? Wow.
Well, no, isn't that?
Yeah, hey, if you don't give me $1,000, I'm going to tell everybody that you slept with my next door neighbor.
Well, no, not that way. It's not that one. It's more like, am I thinking of the right thing?
I don't know. I don't know where you're at.
You lost me, girl.
Okay.
Most likely to get bribed.
Gryffindor would be most likely to get bribed.
Wow.
It's because they would do something to get caught
I
and
would say
need.
that's Hufflepuff, but
No,
No.
Anna.
No.
You are all about, you're interested in saving face. Therefore, you're the easiest to bribe. Because if I've got really good information on you, God forbid it get out. You're willing to pay me money. Olivia would wait till my back was turned and stab me. The Hufflepuff would cry about it and try to figure out how they could get around it. The Ravenclaw would try to figure out how they could bribe me back. But the Gryffindor would pony up the money. You would definitely, Gryffindor is the victim of bribery, and I think Slytherin is the one who would do it.
Y'all are thinking about blackmail. Bribery is different.
Okay, give us
they're both very similar.
it's like a fun, because I was thinking that too, the blackmail thing.
Different
Kind of
levels.
sounded.
Yeah, like.
I mean, we're thinking of like Spiro T. Agnew being bribed when he was governor of New Jersey to by construction companies in order to get the rights to build the roads. Blackmail, bribery, bribery. I still think it's we're on the right path, but I'm just like, wait a second. And I still think it's a Slytherin thing to do. The Slytherin would whip out the checkbook and pay the governor.
I feel like Slytherins would like whip out the checkbook to like Meridel. Sorry, I butchered your name. She said bribery is like slipping money to not get a ticket. I feel like Slytherins would be like, hey, like, I know I was speeding, but you just want to, like, forget about that.
Yeah, like, Officer Jones, I was just about to give money to the officers' union for your honor.
It's like if you gave your professor a Starbucks gift card at the beginning of the semester, hoping that you would ignore it when you were late on your assignments in the semester. It'd be just like that. So I would say that's a Slytherin thing.
Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Than
Not
Yes,
saying
when I reordered my list, I put these things too close together.
But as a side note, I think you were on the right track.
Are we going with Slytherin with bribery?
Yeah,
They're
I
the
think
ones
Slytherin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But blackmail is definitely a Slytherin thing as well.
Mhm.
And Gryffindors would be the victims almost 100% of the time.
For sure.
What about burglary? Burglary.
Is that like stealing a store, like robbing a store, right? Is that?
Well, that
Or
would be
like
like going into somebody's house.
Going into
Yeah.
some-
Yeah, that's sneaking into somebody's house and taking all their crap. Now, if they're there, then it also becomes a robbery. But if they're not there, then it's just flat out burglary. Now, who's most likely to break into a business or a home where nobody's there and steal all the crap?
Ravenclaw. It takes a little bit of planning. You got to know when they're not there. You got to know which way to break in, and it takes watching, waiting, planning.
I think
bit
also
more than
depends.
Gryffindor would do.
What are they looking? I guess it depends on like what they're looking for too, because
Yeah.
They would know how to
Motive.
like we would need a motive to really identify. Because I could see this also as Slytherin, if it's something that like something is in that house that is ultimately going to help them reach a goal. I could say Slytherin.
But I mean, I could say the same thing for like Ravenclaw. It's like, what if they have like the answer to all knowledge or something in their house? And I'm like, okay, well, I need to get that.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna, so I feel like there could be motives on either side.
Oh, that's
Sarah
a good one,
said,
Sarah Brubaker.
Yeah, I was just reading that.
Hufflepuff, absolutely. They would break into somebody's house and take crap if they thought they were doing it for a noble purpose.
Mm-hmm.
But in a more
With
unknoble fashion.
passion. Mhm.
I lean towards
Exactly,
Gryffindor
Danielle.
just because of the unknown qualities of burglary. While you may know they're not home, you don't know if they may have a dog. You don't know if they have some sort of a trap set up, and it's kind of a bravery thing. It's definitely adventurous.
I think that it could actually be all of the houses, depending on the reason for getting into that business.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think motive is really important in this
Mhm.
particular crime.
I think so
There's a
too.
lot to say about motive for a lot of these, for sure.
Yeah.
Kidnapping, I would have given to Hufflepuff if it was a thing where, if they feel like the person they're kidnapping is in a seriously dangerous situation, I would have, in a heartbeat,
So burglary, we'll go with across the board.
All of the above.
Claire,
And
I like
again-
that comment.
For legal reasons, this is all hypothetical. No one here is committing crimes.
The next one I have on the list is money laundering.
Ravenclaw.
Now,
Ravenclaw.
Mhm.
there are two types when it comes to money laundering. There's the people who need it laundered, and there's the people who actually do the crime. So let's talk about the people who are willing to launder the money.
Slytherins. I feel like Slytherins are the ones like running the operation and need the money laundered, but they can't do it themselves. They're
Yeah.
outsourcing. And I feel like they would outsource to Ravenclaws.
Yes.
Yep.
Like you said about forgery, Hannah, I feel like that's a very, like, you have to have that like creativity and be methodical in order to like do it. Whereas like Slytherins are just like, they're like, somebody else can do it. They're just running.
Yeah, I think the Slytherins
I
would
agree.
definitely direct it, and I think the Ravenclaws are the ones who figure out very creative ways in which to get the money laundered. I have a friend, Wes, who runs a little one-day comic show in Atlanta, and we see him at all the other conventions in the area. And he was talking about a money laundering scheme that was going on where some of the companies in China were trying to get money into the U.S. by whatever means necessary, and they hired a whole bunch of geeks. These geeks went out to comic book shows, and they found really beautiful copies of Golden Age comics, where they could drop 10, 20, 30, 40, $50,000 right then, right there on a comic book. And then now, boom, now the money's laundered. Now they own this stuff, and it's going to go up in price too. So I think that was a Ravenclaw thing, that the Ravenclaw said, hey, I've got an idea. Not only can I launder the money, but you can actually make more from our investment if you wait just a little while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Oh, it was huge too. And what was funny is they got busted by dealers who realized what was going on, because these people didn't actually know anything about the comics. They were walking up to the booth and going, what's the most expensive comic that you have? And they would pull it out, set it down, and these Ravenclaw money launderers would open up the price guide, look and see if it was a good deal, and flash the cash and pay for it right then and right there. Because you can't track a comic book. You know,
I like what
it's not a comic, so it's brilliant.
I like what Claire says. She said Slytherins would buy professional forgery services from Ravenclaws.
Yes,
it's true. It's true. Yeah, I think money laundering is definitely, the Ravenclaws would be the perpetrators of that, because it takes that creativity that they excel at. It's an interesting crime for sure. And once he tells me that story, I'm like, gosh, what else could you buy to launder money? I'm going, oh my God, I'm going down that rabbit hole. This is not okay. When it comes to murder in the first degree, that means well planned. They know exactly what they're doing. They have a mission, and it is to murder somebody. Who is most likely to murder in the first degree?
Well, it depends on the type of murder. Honestly.
That's true.
Like, how did they commit the murder?
Well, tell me, give me examples. What are the differences? The crime of passion, that's murder in the second degree.
True.
Right.
I guess the method would be...
Are you talking about like poisoning versus stabbing versus like...
If it can be confused for a crime of passion, then I would go more for Ravenclaw, Gryffindor. Now, if it was a long con over time, of course, usually, then I would go 100% with Slytherin.
Yeah, I think if it has to be planned, it definitely has to go more in the Slytherin Ravenclaw realm.
Yeah.
Right. Like, are you putting like a little bit of arsenic in their tea every day and like going that way? Because I feel like that could go in either Ravenclaw or Slytherin, almost a little bit more Slytherin, because I feel like it's kind of manipulative.
You would have to establish a very, very good relationship.
Right. But if it's like if it's planned out, but it's like bang, boom, and done, not over like a long period of time, then I feel like that would fall into Ravenclaw more than like the long game of poisoning.
Yes, Slytherins have that patience that Ravenclaws don't have. I think we could both do the whole first degree murder, but ours would be I'm going to kill them tomorrow afternoon. I know where they'll be. I will bring my shotgun, and we'll take care of this right here and right now. Slytherins are diabolical. I think that they're the slowly poison people over the course. It's still murder in the first degree, but man, it took 6 months. And they relish every single day when they stir the coffee for the person that they're killing. Let's see.
Claire has
Claire, murder in the first degree is not self-defense or defense of others by any stretch of the imagination. That's something a little bit different. And well, we'll just go in there. The next one on the list I've got is murder in the second degree. That's your crimes of passion. That's when you step to the defense of somebody and you wind up killing the person that you're defending against.
Hufflepuff.
Yeah, I would say between Hufflepuff or Gryffindor here.
Like Claire's comment said, I feel like the Gryffindor would either jump in as like oh my gosh, this person, I need to like jump in here, or the Hufflepuff would be like, don't hurt my friend, and you know, like, and get carried away because Honey Badger don't play, you know. So
Yeah.
I feel like either of them could go that way. With the Ravenclaw and Slytherin, they're much more, self-involved, where I feel like they wouldn't necessarily jump in at that point. They'd more be like, oh crap, how can I get them out of this situation without jumping in and potentially like incriminating myself or hurting myself.
Yeah, they're more thinkers. I think with Puff, with Gryffindor, like the impulsive thoughts to just help someone who's in danger, and the bravery that it would take to just jump in and help, that would be Gryffindor. But if it's somebody like a family member or a friend and Puffs are trying to defend somebody, then it could definitely be the Hufflepuff.
Yeah. When you were saying that, I was thinking, gosh, a lot of these crimes or how the houses would react can also correlate to how different houses go in and sit at a restaurant. I'm a Ravenclaw, and I look around and I see where the exit doors are, and I make sure that my eyes are on the front door and that I'm near, I know where the back door is, because I don't know what's going to come through the door. I don't trust anybody, and I want to make sure I have an easy exit. I think Slytherin sit down and go, they are not going to be screwing with me. Do they not know how awesome I am? I think Hufflepuffs will just sit with their friends. Gryffindor, I'm not sure what you would do or where you would sit, but I'm going, oh, yeah. That whole
According to
I sit next to the entertainment.
Yeah, Gryffindors are just kind of like standing around and moseying everywhere.
According to my best friend, she would sit wherever, the Gryffindor one, because we actually have a seating chart saved in the notes section so that we know when we walk into a restaurant where each of us will be sitting. And my best friend, this is a Ravenclaw, she was like, if we sent this to anyone, they would think we're crazy. If we were like, hey, we're going to go out to eat, here are our preferences when it comes to sitting at a table.
This is probably interesting. I prefer to either sit in a corner or with my back to a wall so I can see whoever might be coming. I don't like to be snuck up on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that I can protect, essentially. But that's probably because I do watch too much true crime.
Speaking of protection, how about perjury? I think Hufflepuffs are more apt to try to protect their friends on the stand. I don't think the Slytherins would be guilty of perjury unless it was to save their own butts. If it was them having to try to save their friends, no, that's not going to happen. That in a freaking court of law with 12 jurors watching, they would totally throw them under the bus. I think Gryffindors might be apt to perjure as well.
I think Gryffindors would accidentally perjure out of anxiety.
Babble.
They would just blurt, and then be like, oh crap.
Oh yeah, and they're blurters too. So
yeah.
The Gryffindor here wants to know what perjury is.
That's lying on the stand.
Yeah, it's lying on the stand. Like if you're in court.
Oh.
Where were you at 12:07 on the night of Tuesday the 17th of October? I was
and then
at
it's like,
house. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
I don't know if this says anything, but I wouldn't lie on the stand. I don't know if that.
I feel like some Gryffindors, like under the overwhelming pressure, like you would plan and you'd be like, okay, yeah, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell the truth. And then you get up there and you're like, okay, I know that I was at this person's house, but I was at the movies.
But to back up Hannah, I think the Gryffindors are very honorable.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, Justin's like
allow themselves. I think Hufflepuffs would, because they're able to see both sides and go, hold it. I need to try to cover for them because I know they didn't do it because they're my best friend, but I don't know where they were, so I'll just make some crap up.
If the law's unjust, I'm going to fight against it in any way I can. And if that means perjury, and I know that my person is truly innocent, fight the power.
I'm going to highlight Sally Jane's comment. Gryffindor will be the one that changes their statement every interview. I can't lie. I would forget what my story was.
Yeah, you would forget, and that's why it would change.
Yeah, that's insane. That's why I agree with it. I think that's a fair point.
We haven't said what a Ravenclaw would do.
Unless you've been sworn in, it doesn't count as perjury. But if you've been sworn in, changing that story, yeah.
They'd be innocent and still fail the polygraph. All the Gryffindors.
That's true. That's
Good
true.
one.
Yeah. How about? Well, I'm looking. I've got embezzlement and credit and debit card fraud. I think those kind of, stealing from corporations and whatnot. Who would be most likely to do that?
Which corporation?
Ravenclaws.
Which corporation? See, you're gonna play that little game. So you're only willing to steal half the time, Abbie.
Robin Hood.
I'm willing to
Robin
steal
Hood.
it from anybody. I will steal from the Catholic Church or from Microsoft. I'm not. If I'm a real embezzler, which I'm not, I should probably look into that. Could actually make some money. Which I think it's Ravenclaw. I think they're the ones that are most likely to figure out those shenanigans. And I always think of, if you've seen Superman 3, the one with Chris Reeves back in like 83 or 84, Richard Pryor's in this movie, and he is a computer programmer. And he figures out how to take the fractions of cents that are left over in all of these checks and money orders that come through this giant corporation, and he winds up with tens of thousands of dollars because nobody looks for a quarter of a cent or 3/8 of a cent or 7/16 of a cent. And would you add them all up, you can become a very rich man. It's still embezzlement because you still stole a quarter of a cent, but 10 million times.
Yeah. There's a lot of thought process that goes in there. Like David said, like it's like a whole ordeal.
Ravenclaws would think through every little bit of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a Ravenclaw thing. How about disturbing the peace? Let's keep it simple here.
Gryffindors.
Gryffindor.
Wait. Yeah, Gryffindors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm okay with taking that one.
Yeah, I think it goes with the drunken disorderly that we talked about earlier. That disturbing the peace would be the Gryffindors.
Yeah. Yeah, because you know what? Even though we said that the public intoxication was Hufflepuff and Gryffindor, I think the disturbing the peace is totally Gryffindor. Because the Hufflepuffs have some sort of decorum that the Gryffindors don't seem to own. But it looks like we are going to have to wind it down because we've only got a couple minutes. Hey, guess what just came to my front door not an hour ago?
Yes.
The brand new shirts for this year. So
Awesome.
go to the CONjuration Eventney page and order these shirts because they are freaking awesome. I think it's the best one yet, but I'm just
Gryffindor colors.
have my opinions. So what other panels are you three on for the rest of the weekend? Abbie?
Yeah, Abbie.
Abbie.
I was about to say, you're not Abbie. This is my last panel unless someone wants to let me on, or, you can find me on Discord, Hufflefox Abbie. I love to discuss almost anything unless I don't know anything, and then I'll still probably discuss something. So find me there.
Olivia?
I'm going to be on the Disney Anniversaries panel and Sorting the Office tomorrow.
Hannah and Anna?
Yeah, go for it.
So the next panel I'll be on will be the Disney one tomorrow, which awesome because I love Disney and I've been binging Disney movies. So you can catch me there. You can also catch me on the Instagram web at AnnaLucia0515 and talk to me about Harry Potter or animals or Disney or anything fun.
I'm going to be on the Sorting the Office panel tomorrow at 3.
All right, and I think Sorting the Office may be my last panel. But I'm planning on watching all the rest, and I hope the rest of you will do so as well. But for now, this is the Criminals of Hogwarts signing out, and we'll see you later on.
Bye.
Bye, guys.